Every single day, millions of small bronze-colored discs change hands across cash registers, sit forgotten in dusty glass jars on nightstands, or slip beneath the cushions of couch seats. To almost everyone who handles them, they are nothing more than loose pocket change, a minor inconvenience that barely holds any day-to-day buying power in our modern world. Most people never give them a second thought before handing them over or leaving them behind. But what if a single 1-cent piece tucked inside an old family box or sitting in a forgotten coin tray held significant collector significance? What if it possessed enough estimated value to fund a major life goal, cover significant household expenses, or completely transform your personal finances? It sounds like a tall tale, but in the fascinating world of numismatic research, extraordinary finds happen far more often than you might imagine. The United States Mint has produced hundreds of billions of small cents over the past century and a half. Amidst that massive volume of standard production, unusual manufacturing events occurred. Special alloy adjustments took place, mechanical strike shifts slipped past quality checks, and ultra-small production batches created some of the most sought-after historical treasures in circulation history. In this deep dive guide, we are exploring 10 remarkable, high-value pennies that could be sitting in everyday collections or loose change hoards. We will break down each piece in detail so you know precisely what physical markers to examine, what manufacturing factors created them, and what kind of estimated value they command among serious collectors today. Before you spend another cent, let's investigate these 10 special coin discoveries. Coin 1, the 1943 copper Lincoln cent. Imagine standing at a merchant counter in 1943. Global industrial demands meant that strategic raw materials were strictly prioritized for national manufacturing efforts. To preserve essential copper reserves, officials at the United States Mint made a historic decision. They temporarily suspended traditional bronze penny production and shifted entirely to zinc-coated steel. Millions of silver-colored steel cents quickly entered daily circulation. However, right before the coin press's transition to steel blanks late in 1942, a tiny batch of standard bronze planchets remained hidden deep inside the feeding hoppers at the mint facilities. When the machines were activated with new 1944-era dies, those leftover bronze planchets passed through the feed mechanisms and were struck unnoticed. This rare occurrence produced what researchers consider one of the most famous error coins in American numismatics, the 1943 copper Lincoln cent. If you suspect you have found one, the initial verification step is straightforward. Use a standard handheld magnet. Because typical 1943 cents are composed of steel, a magnet will immediately attract them. A genuine bronze 1943 penny, on the other hand, shows zero magnetic attraction. Beyond testing magnetic properties, verifying the exact physical weight is crucial. A genuine bronze cent from this period weighs 3.11 grams, whereas its steel counterpart registers at only 2.7 grams. Additionally, examine the date digits under a magnifying lens to ensure the last digit has not been altered from an 8 or a 7. On an authentic piece, the font style and digit placement match original Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco die impressions perfectly. Because only a tiny number of these bronze planchet errors are known from production, their collector evaluation remains extraordinarily strong. Depending on surface preservation, strike clarity, and overall grade, an authentic 1943 copper cent carries an estimated value ranging anywhere from $150,000 to well over $300,000, with museum-quality specimens reaching even higher premium territory. Coin 2, the 1955 double die obverse Lincoln cent. Our second featured rarity takes us to an overnight production run at the Philadelphia Mint in 1955. Stamping equipment was operating continuously to meet circulating coin demand. However, during the preparation of a working coining die, when a hub imprints the coin design onto steel stock, a slight rotational shift occurred between mechanical pressings. The alignment shift went unnoticed by machine operators. That single working die was installed onto an active coin press, and throughout an entire shift, thousands of cents received a dramatic doubled image across the front side of the coin. What makes the 1955 double die obverse so famous is its immediate visual impact. Unlike delicate die varieties that require specialized magnification to identify, this doubling is clearly visible to the naked eye. The legend "In God We Trust," the inscription "Liberty," and the date 1955 display distinct, clear duplicate outlines. Interestingly, Abraham Lincoln's central portrait remains relatively crisp because the die rotation pivoted near the center of the design. When examining candidate coins, it is essential to distinguish true double die varieties from mechanical flat doubling. Mechanical die chatter creates flat, step-like shelf doubling that adds no real collector premium. A genuine 1955 double die features rounded, fully raised duplicate lettering across every word and date digit on the obverse. In terms of market availability, roughly 20,000 to 24,000 pieces were released into general distribution, many finding their way into vending machine circulation before collectors identified the variety. Even heavily handled pieces retain strong collector interest. An estimated value for a worn example typically begins around $1,000 to $1,800, while a well-preserved piece showing original mint red brilliance can easily range between $15,000 and $30,000. Coin 3, the 1909 SVDB Lincoln Cent. To understand our third coin, we go back to the launch of the Lincoln Cent design in 1909. That year marked the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, prompting a complete redesign of the 1-cent coin. Renowned sculptor Victor David Brenner was chosen to create the portrait and reverse motif. Proud of his artistic accomplishment, Brenner included his full initials VDB at the bottom rim of the reverse design, positioned between two stalks of wheat. Shortly after the initial public release in August 1909, public discussions arose regarding the prominence of the designer's initials. Responding to public feedback, Treasury officials ordered production halted so the initials could be removed from active working dies. While the main Philadelphia facility had already produced over 27 million pieces, the branch mint in San Francisco, identified by a small S mint mark located beneath the date, had only completed a limited run of 484,000 coins bearing the designer's initials. That limited production run established the 1909 SVDB as a key anchor piece for generations of series collectors. When verifying an example, location detail is paramount. Check directly below the date, 1909, on the front side for a cleanly struck S mint mark. Next, inspect the reverse side at the very bottom edge to locate the three letters VDB, with distinct period dots following each letter. Because this issue is frequently targeted by altered common coins, expert authentication focuses closely on mint mark geometry. The S mark should feature clear inner loops and a specific serif angle characteristic of authentic San Francisco working dies from 1909. In current numismatic evaluations, even an example showing extensive circulation where commands an estimated value between $700 and $1,200. If you happen to discover an uncirculated piece that has retained its original factory luster, its estimated value routinely rises into the $3,000 to $10,000 range. Coin 4, the 1877 Indian head penny. Decades before Abraham Lincoln appeared on standard coinage, American pocket change was dominated by the classic Indian head cent motif designed by chief engraver James B. Longacre. Featuring a representation of Liberty wearing a classic feathered headband, these bronze cents were produced in generous quantities throughout the mid to late 19th century. However, one specific production year stands apart from all others. In 1877, broader economic slowdowns led to a sharp decrease in commercial demand for minor coins nationwide. Consequently, the Philadelphia Mint scaled back production drastically, striking only 852,500 Indian head cents for the entire year, the lowest standard annual output in the half-century history of the Indian head series. Locating an authentic 1877 Indian head penny in general change or inherited coin accumulations is an exceptional event. Because Philadelphia was the sole minting facility striking 1-cent coins at that time, there is no mint mark to look for. Identification depends entirely on verifying the year 1877 and assessing the coin's structural details. On authentic 1877 cents, design sharpness varies by wear level, but critical areas offer clear clues. Inspect the headband word Liberty. Even on circulated specimens, partial legibility of those letters greatly enhances overall collector appeal. Furthermore, inspect the feather outlines and verify the bold, even spacing of the 4 date digits. Because altered dates exist, often modified from 1873 or 1875 issues, authenticator inspection centers on the precise shape of the 7 digits. Due to its high demand among coin enthusiasts, overall surface condition dictates market interest. A circulated 1877 Indian head penny with complete, clear date numbers holds an estimated value of $800 to $1,500. Should you locate a high-grade specimen where headband details are crisp and full design lines remain, estimated values frequently span from $5,000 to well over $20,000. Coin 5, the 1922 plain, no D Lincoln cent. To understand how our fifth penny came to be, we look at a unique situation at the mint facilities in 1922. For the only time in modern small cent history, the primary facility in Philadelphia produced 0 pennies. Every single 1-cent piece struck during 1922 originated from the Denver Mint, meaning all regular issue coins were intended to carry a small D mint mark beneath the date. However, heavy production demands placed continuous strain on active coining dies at the Denver facility. During routine operations, a specific pair of dies suffered surface damage from impact contact without a blank present. To restore the damaged die surfaces, facility staff used abrasive polishing equipment to smooth out surface imperfections. During this intensive polishing process, the delicate, shallow impression of the small D mint mark was completely removed from the working die. This maintenance event created the celebrated 1922 plain Lincoln cent, a coin struck at Denver in 1922 that bears no visible mint mark whatsoever. Identifying an authentic die pair 2 no D variety involves checking specific physical characteristics beyond the missing letter. Because the obverse die was heavily polished, Lincoln's shoulder line appears slightly softened, yet the reverse side, showing the wheat ears and the text 1 cent, must display exceptionally sharp, clear detail. If the reverse details appear weak or unformed, the piece is likely a heavily worn standard 1922 D or a coin struck with a grease block die, which carries far less collector significance. A genuine 1922 no D strong reverse cent remains a major collector prize. In average circulated condition with honest wear, its estimated value ranges between $600 and $1,500. In higher uncirculated states, where original surface features remain intact, estimated values actively range from $10,000 to over $50,000 depending on eye appeal and certified grade. Coin 6, the 1969 S-double die obverse Lincoln cent. In late 1969, collectors and mint investigators uncovered an extraordinary variety among newly issued West Coast pennies. Initial confusion surrounded early reports, but detailed technical analysis quickly confirmed that a small batch of authentic double die cents had been produced at the San Francisco facility. That captivating background belongs to the famous 1969 S-double die obverse Lincoln cent. This error was created when an active working die received 2 misaligned impressions from a master hub during die production, leaving strong, clear duplicate outlines across the obverse lettering and numbers. When searching through 1969 cents bearing the San Francisco mark, look closely at the front of the coin under clear lighting. First, confirm the presence of the small S mint mark positioned right below the date, 1969. Next, examine the surrounding text using a strong magnifying lens. You are searching for clear, wide doubling on the phrase, "In God we trust," the word liberty, and the date digits, 1969. Here is a critical detail to keep in mind. The S mint mark itself must not show doubling. During that era, mint marks were hand-punched into the die after the hubbing process was complete. If you observe doubling on the letter S itself, you are looking at common mechanical doubling, which holds no added collector value. On an authentic 1969 S double die, the lettering shows clear dual impressions, but the S mint mark remains clean and single. Because only around 40 to 50 verified examples have ever been documented, finding one in roll hoards or loose change is an ultimate numismatic discovery. A circulated piece with minor wear carries an estimated value starting around $25,000 to $40,000, while top-grade uncirculated examples have achieved estimated values between $100,000 and $125,000. Coin 7, the 1914 D Lincoln cent. let's turn our attention to early 20th century coin production. In 1914, growing commercial activity increased regional demand for small change, leading the Denver Mint to produce 1-cent pieces alongside the main Philadelphia facility. While Philadelphia struck over 75 million cents that year, Denver produced a much smaller batch, exactly 1,193,000 coins. While over 1 million coins might seem like a large production number, it is important to remember how change was used in 1914. Coin collecting was less widespread among the general public, and very few individuals set aside fresh rolls from branch mints. The vast majority of these 1914 D pennies went straight into general commerce, spending decades in active trade purchasing daily goods, newsprint, and local fare. By the time collectors recognized the limited survival rate of this issue, finding a 1914 D penny in choice condition had become a major challenge. To evaluate a candidate 1914 D, begin by inspecting the date area on the obverse. Beneath the numbers 1914, verify the small D mint mark. Pay attention to the exact position of the letter relative to the date digits. On an authentic 1914 D, the D sits neatly below the space separating the 9 and the 1, exhibiting clean mint mark punch characteristics. Be aware of altered dates when examining potential coins. Unscrupulous individuals sometimes modify a common 1944 D cent by paring down the first 4 to resemble a 1. You can spot this alteration by observing digit spacing. On a genuine 1914 penny, the digits are evenly spaced, whereas on an altered 1944 coin, the gap between the 9 and the modified 1 looks noticeably wider than normal. Because of its key date status, an authentic 1914 D holds strong collector value across all condition tiers. A worn circulated example carries an estimated value of $150 to $350. If you locate a rare survivor that preserved clear details through the years, estimated values increase to between $2,000 and $4,000, with uncirculated specimens exceeding $15,000. Coin 8, the 1992 D Close AM Lincoln Cent. Now let's jump forward to late 20th century history. Many people assume that valuable coin varieties are exclusively centuries-old antiques. However, modern minting design updates during the 1990s created some of the most fascinating error varieties discovered in recent decades. In 1992, the United States Mint prepared to update the reverse design dies for Lincoln cents beginning with the 1993 production year. The refinement involved adjusting the letter spacing in the word America on the coin's reverse side. On standard cents struck from 1989 through 1992, the reverse layout used a wide AM spacing, where the letters A and M in America sat clearly apart with a visible gap between their bases. The updated 1993 design introduced a close AM arrangement, where the lower diagonal legs of the A and M were placed very close together, almost touching. An interesting mix-up occurred at the Denver facility in late 1992. A working reverse die intended for 1993 production was mistakenly installed on an active press striking 1992 D cents. A small quantity of 1992 D pennies were stamped using this premature reverse die update. Searching for this variety is especially engaging because millions of 1992 D cents remain in circulation. Turn your 1992 D penny over and observe the word America on the upper right reverse field. Examine the space separating the A and the M. On a standard coin, a clear gap exists between the bases of these two letters. But if the bottom corners of the A and M sit right next to each other, touching at the base, you have located the rare 1992 D close AM error. As an added verification point, examine the designer initials FG near the base of the memorial building. On the close AM variety, the initials sit slightly farther from the building wall compared to the standard layout. Because this modern error went unnoticed for a period after release, examples entered general distribution. A genuine 1992 D close AM penny in average circulated condition carries an estimated value ranging from $800 to $1,500, while a well-preserved uncirculated example can reach estimated values between $3,000 and $5,000. Coin 9, the 1864 L on ribbon Indian head cent. Let's look back at mid-19th century mint operations in 1864. Evolving economic conditions led the mint to update the composition of the Indian head cent mid-year, transitioning from a heavier copper-nickel alloy to a slimmer, lighter bronze format. Alongside this alloy change, Chief Engraver James B. Longacre took the opportunity to sharpen the design details of the portrait and added a tiny personal mark, a subtle capital letter L, integrated into the artwork. The letter L was positioned discreetly on the lower ribbon tail hanging from Liberty's feathered headband, resting just above her neckline. Because this subtle design update was introduced late in the 1864 production cycle, only a small proportion of 1864 bronze cents were struck using dies containing the new L on ribbon detail. If you encounter an 1864 bronze Indian head cent, determining whether you have the rare variety requires careful observation under good lighting. Inspect the lower ribbon hanging down the back of Liberty's neck. On the rare variety, you will observe a tiny, clearly defined raised letter L, standing vertically on the ribbon fold. Another helpful visual indicator involves the tip of Liberty's bust in the portrait layout. On the common 1864 bronze variety lacking the L, the tip of her bust is distinctly rounded. On the L on ribbon variety, the bust tip finishes in a crisp point. This design variation represents one of the most famous mid-year updates in 19th century American numismatic history. Depending on preserved detail along the ribbon fold, a circulated 1864 L on ribbon Indian head cent carries an estimated value of $100 to $300, while a high-grade specimen with sharp ribbon and feather detail can command estimated values from $1,500 to well over $5,000. Coin 10 and conclusion, the 1944 steel Lincoln cent and summary. For our 10th and final feature, we return to mid-20th century mint operations to look at the reverse alloy companion error to our very first coin. As discussed earlier, the mint produced steel cents in 1943 to conserve copper supplies. By 1944, production returned to a bronze composition, utilizing repurposed alloy stock to supply standard coining planchets. However, just as bronze blanks remained in equipment hoppers at the close of 1942, a tiny number of silver-colored steel blanks from 1943 remained tucked inside storage bins at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mint locations. When operations commenced for 1944 dated coinage, those remaining steel planchets accidentally fed into active stamping presses. This occurrence created the rare 1944 steel Lincoln cent. Unlike normal 1944 bronze pennies that display a warm metallic tone, an authentic 1944 steel cent exhibits a distinct silver-gray surface appearance. The testing procedure is quick and definitive. Test the coin with a magnet. Regular 1944 bronze cents display no magnetic attraction, whereas an authentic 1944 steel error coin attracts strongly to a magnet due to its steel core. Furthermore, check the coin's precise weight on a scale. An authentic 1944 steel cent weighs 2.7 grams, compared to 3.11 grams for a standard bronze piece. Be cautious of standard copper pennies that have been aftermarket plated with silver-colored coatings. If the coin lacks magnetic attraction or weighs 3.11 grams, it is simply an altered plated coin. Because only a small number of these composition errors have ever been confirmed across all mint locations, collector interest remains exceptionally high. A genuine 1944 steel Lincoln cent carries an estimated value starting around $30,000 to $50,000 in circulated grades, with choice uncirculated specimens commanding estimated values upwards of $110,000 to $125,000. Quick inspection summary for collectors. To conclude our overview, here is a quick reference checklist for examining accumulated change or family coin collections. 1943 cent. Check magnetic response. If it appears bronze and shows no magnetic attraction, check its weight immediately. 1955 cent. Inspect for prominent doubling across the obverse lettering and date without magnification. 1909 SVDB. Check the reverse bottom edge below the wheat ears for the initials VDB, alongside the San Francisco S mark on the front. 1877 Indian head. Verify clear, original date digits on low mintage 19th century cents. 1922 cent. Look for Denver-issued coins where the D mint mark is completely absent, while reverse wheat details remain sharp. 1969 cent. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubled obverse text, while confirming the S mint mark remains clean and single. 1914 D cent. Examine mint mark placement and digit spacing below the date. 1992 D cent. Inspect the reverse lettering on 1992 Denver cents to see if the bases of A and M in America are touching. 1864 Indian head. Look closely at the headdress ribbon for a subtle raised letter L and a pointed bust tip. 1944 cent. Test silver-toned 1944 pennies with a magnet to see if steel planchet stock was used. Careful observation, patience, and attention to detail make coin examining a rewarding hobby. The next time you check your change or review an old coin album, look closely at the fine details. You might just discover a fascinating piece of history.